Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for this new Wednesday that we have for our Zipinar. Cogent Integrated Business Solutions initiated this Zipinars in order to provide knowledge in a short period of time. So, because we have individuals, entrepreneurs, professionals who has a limited time, and we wish to provide informations in a capsulized type of sharing. So for 1 hour, we have two topics with two great and very seasoned speakers that we have today. And this is to give you the bliss of knowledge for 1 hour only. So that is why it is called Zipinar. And again, we thank you for your time for joining us again in this session. And for our first topic today, as the speakers wish to switch the topics for a better convenience. So we have for the first topic, we have digital marketing strategies for tech entrepreneurs. And this is to enlighten you with an effective information on digital strategies. So this will be delivered to us by a Think Prile founder and CEO, Rishi Yaddi, which is an entrepreneur with 18 plus years of experience, handled 30 plus projects in IT, ITES, digital media and creating agency, and generated more than $50 million revenue. Such a very interesting person to be with us today and will give us the very first topic for this session. So let's give it up to Rishi. You can take over.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Phil. Hi, guys. This is something that's really, I'm very passionate about digital marketing and entrepreneurship. And so what you're going to see is a little bit about us, and then, really get into how you formulate a strategy for technology entrepreneurs and the different things that come together to make that strategy happen. What's happening right now in the market is broadly what we're going to talk about. And I've been an e-commerce entrepreneur for almost 18 years now, and I own a company which is into international gift delivery. We deliver flowers, gift baskets, chocolate cakes to 12,000 cities, 80 plus countries. And that's something that I've really been into forever. And 2 years back, I started this digital consulting firm so that I could work with entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises to help them navigate the digital space. So focus is on, so we are actually a very outcome-driven digital marketing experts for a mission-driven company. We really like working with the companies that are really focused on what they want to achieve. And we help them with, telling their story to the world, maximize their online visibility, reduce the customer acquisition cost, and help them measure the spend that they do on the digital front. With that goal, we actually have started, and like I said, the agenda would be what's the process, and different things like customer target group, value propositions, how do you see digital assets, and how do you see it, in terms of the market and the competition. Then awareness and brand reach, how do you increase it, accessibility, mobile analytics, reputation, and what a lean startup is. So coming to the experience that we have over, we've done almost 27 plus projects, generated 100 million plus traffic, done more than 50 million plus revenue for literally a lot of companies, and it's more B2C, B2B, a lot of that variety. So I end up talking to a lot of entrepreneurs. In a week, I end up talking to at least 2 to 3, and really get to know what's happening in the industry and how the tech entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs are thinking, and what is really blocking them. So I think that the subject would actually be addressing their concerns and their thoughts and their ideas, so that they can actually move and use digital to maximum potential. So first thing is we actually, digital marketing strategy is about, starts with goals and objectives, moves into identifying your customers, then identify your competitors, decide which channels would really work, and whether it's social media. So it's not necessary that all the channels have to be utilized at every point of time. It literally depends on the industry that you are in. Let me just show you that. What does that mean? And then, have these goal clarity actually gives us even the quarterly plan and the half yearly plan to 1 year plan. So the way we usually start is, understanding the customer. If you see here, there are certain questions. So one of the first things that we need to do is put this down together. And LinkedIn actually does a very good job. Sales Navigator has a lot of good filters which actually help define um, the customer target group in a lot of specified way. And there are two parameters that we usually look at. One is the granularity. So can you recognize the customer at an individual level? And then the other one is the substantiality, which is basically, are there enough customers in that group to make it worth targeting? These are the two things that we look at, but go through this process of customer target group, this defining customer target group. And once that is there, what we do is create the value proposition canvas. And you could see here, there is I'll just show you. So there are these tools that help you create this value proposition canvas. You could see here, you could actually sign up at strategizer.com. And you could see here, this actually, you can actually walk through the process and help get this value propositions clearly. And you can actually also see this. So you could see the business model analyst actually helps you give you so this is something that we look at. You could see here, we actually focus on so this is for the lean canvas. Usually, let me just tell you, just a minute. Usually there is a business model canvas world template, which actually helps show, you could see the customer segments, the channels that need to be used, how do you establish the relationship, how the revenue streams are formed. It's a very good template, and this is for free. So please do use this to help get clarity on the customer target group and the value proposition canvas. And then we have, so broadly, once you go through all that process, this is how it will look like. So you will, you could see that for one of our customers, we defined this as working parents, 35 to 45 with kids. Both the parents are very well educated in management positions. So you could see actually the description really gives. This helps both the communication people and also the sales people, the marketing people to really target well. And you could see the value propositions and the difference in the value propositions for two different target groups. If it is young adults, you could see that challenging themselves and social status really works well. And if it is working parents, they're really looking for valuable family time. So this was for one of the amusement parks that we prepared this. So, but this is what is the end result that you would see if you go through the process in a defined way. And then the digital assets, usually, so the way we look at it is four: owned, paid, earned, and shared media. You could see the examples here. Owned media is, of course, what we own, which is the websites and website, blog, our own social media channels and all that. And paid media is what you spend to reach out to the customer. And earned media is something that you actually have earned because of your good service. So that's references to, shareable content and media relationships, investor relationships, all those you earn them. And then shared media is what, you actually share, and, customers are able to see and share from there. So these are the different four types of assets that a company has. And this is how we compare, when we see it in the market. This is for our own company, a good example. So you could see, we've actually identified almost 7 different competitors who are, there are two things what we say: comparable. They're either in the same market, doing the same service, or they're benchmarked, something that you aim at being. So we actually put together, you could see here, owned media. They have, website, mobile site, blog site. You see that everybody has that. that becomes the must-have for this market. Then earned media, you could actually see, brand sharing to brand mentions, repost reviews. You could see, some of them are doing good job, and no usually means, there's work to do. And paid media, nobody is using paid media in this business. So it clearly says that, spending money doesn't really make sense in this business. And then social channels, you could see here, even though you have 4 different channels, the popular one ends up usually being LinkedIn, because this is business. This is a B2B business. So it is not necessary that, you actually try to focus on Facebook and Instagram necessarily. So if something like, if especially if you're focused on technology, what happens is YouTube could be a very good place. Twitter also could be a very good place to be showing off, how to videos, to what are the how the product guides and customer reviews. All those things really come together. This is what we see usually, and come and say this is how the strategy should be prepared. So this is the raw material that is required to make the strategy happen. And you could see based on once you are saying, this is what I use and all that, you put together the digital experiences based on the value propositions, and then you say how you're going to promote it across each different channels. And you could see here the cost versus the ROI. You could see here that the ROI for social media posting, even though the cost is less, the ROI also is less. Whereas something like email marketing, the cost is less, but the ROI really goes up. Thought leadership marketing, and then you could see radio ads, Facebook marketing. So cost is high, but the ROI is low. So this is something that we usually look at, saying that. Based on budget that's given, we actually distribute it so that the goals are achieved, whether it is a brand reach or the lead generation process. And then you could see this is so this for me is the different tools. This is the ecosystem of tools that we can use in digital marketing strategy. So you can see for marketing and planning, there is Todoist, Toggle, Evernote, Canva, that helps us plan well. And then to attract the customer, to attract the traffic, you could see here Ahref, Moz, SEMrush, which actually helps us manage the Google search engine, the search engine traffic. And you could see here LinkedIn, Bing ads. This is the paid side, and this is the earned side. So you could see there are so many different tools. And Convert, which is the landing pages and your website. You could use WordPress, Unbounce, lead pages, and nurture the traffic, nurture the customer through MailChimp or similar email service providers, or remarketing, which is again, once the customer has landed, these are the different tools that you can use, and retarget them. Usually, that is a lot more effective when it comes to paid than trying to acquire new customers. And you could see here a CRM really plays a very good role. Of having a CRM and appreciating who's coming to your website from something like Lead Feeder also helps us recognize what's working and what's not working. And finally, analytics and automation. So you could see so much of analytics, analytical tools that exist. It's very important that we measure everything because digital is technically, it's technically possible to measure everything and every step of the way. So it's very important that the infrastructure is set up. So these are the different tool ecosystems that are there that enable your digital marketing to be done and measured. So what we do, so the next step is automation. So there's not today, so many tools have come that actually help the customer be addressed automatically, especially the AI, ML, and deep tech actually help the customer be addressed based on the context that they are in. So using the customer journey automation has become a lot more viable, is the way I would put it, today than earlier. So we have to really think when we formulate the strategy and do it. And next, so coming to different trends that we see, you could see here influencer marketing is a very important tool that's developed over the last last few years, influencer marketing has really boomed. So we look at, so whether it is B2B, B2C, uh, it is very much necessary that you find some influencer to promote. Not necessarily that you really go with the big influencers, small influencers and contextual specific influencers, even with 1,000 good audience or 10,000 good audience is a very good thing to do. It need not necessarily always mean millions of followers, but doing it actually, you are actually helping your credit. We are building the credibility and the credibility of the company and the product. And the second trend that we see is mobile first. So mobile first, the difference between mobile friendly and mobile first, you could clearly see mobile friendly is designing for the desktop and then adjusting it to the phone. Whereas mobile first basically means you design it to a mobile and then you will actually look at how it may look in the desktop. So it's very important that we are mobile first because a lot of traffic that gets generated, almost 50 to 60%. Sometimes we even see 80% of the traffic coming to the mobile, coming to the mobile. So it's very important that mobile is kept in mind. Um, and then you could also see, there's a discussion that happens, which is basically, should we have a mobile website or a mobile app? Mobile website is a very good thing to do. Not it is not necessary unless your app necessity, the service cannot be delivered without an app. You really don't need an app to be there. You can just design a website and then just make it mobile friendly. Mobile, so you can design it for the mobile, the website for the mobile, and that should be enough. An app is not necessary. So next is analytics. You could see here, this is the analytical infrastructure that should be put in place. The top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. You could see here. So once you put it, it actually helps you understand which stage the customers are dropping more than the other places. So that actually helps us fine tune for all the spend, the marketing effort, and the spend that we do. With this kind of a funnel really done and reviewed literally every week, it actually helps optimize better and optimize faster and adjust faster the campaigns that are there, and the strategy also starts getting tweaked based on the numerical, based on the numbers rather than on an opinion. So it's very important that digital marketing funnel is put together. And finally, the most important thing is online reviews. So there's a lot of tools that help you uh, put the reputation together. I've actually listed some of them here. And I'm sure I would give this presentation to Phil. He would shoot it out to all the people that are present here. So you could see here these different tools can be used, but online reviews is something that's very important for your company, for the product, and making sure that you get referrals and referral revenues. So this is the other final trend that we really want to talk about to make sure that your strategy becomes successful. And finally, two concepts that I think will help. I'd like to try to close it in the next few minutes. Is the lean startup model. I really firmly believe in quick iterations of the product or the service, especially validated by the customer and driven through the revenue rather than wait for a few years to develop and then wait on the investors to help you market. It's easier. Go to market should be a lot more quicker, and thinking about everything as a version really helps. Maybe launch versions based on the customer feedback and the revenue to generate more revenue is very important. And lean startup, totally I promote it and I use it, and I actually talk about it to a lot of startups to use it, because you would have seen last 2 years, we see market was so good and now it's really all gone. So it's very but if you follow the lean startup model, you actually become sustainable, and you could actually be more what I would say is you're better off on the negotiation table because you're sustainable and you're revenue focused and you have customers to speak about. So lean startup model really is a very good thing for the tech entrepreneurs. And there is a book called Jobs to be Done, and this website JTBD is what it is called. You could see here there are different things that uh, jobs to be done really helps. This was actually designed by Anthony Ulrich, and basically they put together a team of professionals who work on innovation in multinational companies. They spend millions of dollars, and they were actually seeing 80% or 90% of the innovation was failing. So they actually really looked at how that percentage can be bettered, and looked at all the successes, and they actually came up with a certain framework. So you could see here innovation process versus agile development plus design thinking, how you actually it helps get your innovation and get your product to be successful. Please do read this Jobs to be Done book. While that's broadly what I really wanted to talk about digital marketing strategy for the tech entrepreneurs, frameworks and things to do, and how to the process itself. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, guys. Questions?
Hi, thank you so much for that very informative delivery of the information for that topic, Rishi. So yes, we are opening the table for questions. So anyone from the attendees would like to raise their questions, you can either raise your hand to acknowledge, you can put it in chat, or you can unmute your mic so we can interact with the speaker about the topic.
Very good presentation, Rishi. Really like the areas you've covered across digital marketing. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Hey, sure, Ravi. Thanks. Was there a question?
Thank you, Ravi.
No question, and it was a compliment, but yeah, I'm like, let's see if there are any questions from the audience.
Yes, anyone from the attendees would like to acknowledge? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually have a question here from RK. Better to start a mobile app or a mobile website for a startup business. Actually, let me just go back to that slide here. You could see here, I think mobile app and a mobile website, it really depends on what is the business that we are talking about. For me, a mobile app is what I would call it is, it's a that product should actually be the navigation should be whatever, should not be linear. If it is linear, mobile website is really good. If it is non-linear, mobile app really helps. That's one way to answer that, but really it depends on the startup idea every time. But mobile app should have a lot more checklist. By default, it should be a mobile website. I hope I answered the question, RK.
Yes, that's really, thanks for your information. That's really great information, and thanks for clarifying it.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, RK, for providing that question with regards to the topic. So any other from the attendees?
And when we are when you have a like idea, and like how come we know that that is a really that have a like a market potential? Because most of the startups fail due to the main reasons are either they think that is a really great idea, but there is no potential in the market, and second thing is financial.
Yeah, I've personally done so many businesses, started them and obviously failed at a lot of them. Two, obviously, I've been successful in a few of them. So what I see is the only the customer that validates the idea. There's nobody else. I've seen, I mean, and I talk to, like I said, a lot of entrepreneurs. What I see is anybody who's closer to the customer is the one that's winning. Or that most probably is going to end up winning. It doesn't matter even if it is the easiest of the ideas to the it could be a very idea that's like just common, like maybe you're selling vegetables, so you're still in the market, but something like country delight for me is one example where I mean everybody is into groceries and especially the dairy, and they're so close to the customer. They actually have done a very good job. They have become successful even in a very competitive market. So according to me, it's not the idea, it's about the idea plus being very close to the customer and trying to earn revenue from the customer. That's going to really define whether you're going to be successful or not. I hope I answered.
Great, thanks.
Thank you very much. And yeah, any other questions? If none, then we'll start proceeding for the next topic.
Yeah, sure. Hey, thanks. Thanks, Phil.
All right. So if you wish to collaborate with Rishi further, you can visit their website. Also, their the LinkedIn profile of Rishi. You can just search it Rishi Yadati on LinkedIn, or you can look for their company page, which is Think Prile. Alrighty. Okay, so we have a message from Srini, which is the CEO of Cogent, who is behind the LetUsTalkIt Zipinar, said, excellent info, Rishi. So thank you so much, Srini. And yes, for the next topic, since there are no further questions, we'll move to the second discussion that we have today, which is CRM, an integral part of digital marketing. So this is to cover why CRM needs to be an integral part of any digital marketing strategy. And this will be delivered to us by a speaker who did a talk before with LetUsTalkIt team already, but wishes to share further of his knowledge and experience, which is Vaidyanathan Swaminathan, a C-suite executive, operations and delivery management, digital transformation leader as well, and a digital business and technology transformation leader with over 2 decades of demonstrated and progressive experience across multiple geographies, industries in the latest cutting edge technologies. And I will not talk further about him. I'll let him do a little bit of introductions of what is done and what he have along with the topic. So you can take over, Vaidya, for your discussion.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be back again. Thank you, Phil, for that.
You're welcome.
Let me share my screen and can maybe get started out here. Okay. Now, when I was talking to Phil earlier and thinking about what should I pick as a topic, I thought, why not pick something which is a little more sort of integrated with the previous speaker, and that's the reason why I thought let me make this as an extension of that rather than going into something completely separate as such. Just to give you a little bit of a background, what's happened is in the last several years, we have, in fact, this is very pertinent to the last question that I was asked. In fact, how do you know, how do you think of an idea which will appeal to customers? How do you think it make it a success? One of the very basic facts that I've realized that earlier on in the last 30 years in the industry is like Rishi also mentioned, it's very essential to understand the customer and understand the trends that have happened in it's not only the customer, but the overall how the market has moved in the last 20, 30 years, or you need not even go back that far. The last 10 years is more than enough for that matter. And we see a distinct difference. And what we are seeing today is that more and more, it's no longer establishing just a mere connect. While I completely appreciate the complete value of digital marketing, etc. Let me put it this way: there are many cases where it is essential that you are able to reach out to as many customers as possible. You are able to establish your presence in the market. You let them know the value that you provide. But it's equally more important that you make that into something very sustainable. I'll get into that in a minute, but before I thought, let me put a few thoughts here, before actually getting into the subject. So what I found is that while you're trying to establish that connection to digital marketing, and you're also looking at what is the customer behavior that's influencing it, the various tool sets that have been spoken about, and we're also saying how is it that actually working out in terms of evaluation, etc. Now, given this sort of a backdrop, I thought let me get into, it's more of a question in my mind also. Is CRM an integral part of the entire, customer centric approach that we take, or a customer strategy that we take? Conservatively, yes. Sometimes it isn't, because when you just want to make your presence felt, it might be just your marketing. But it really depends on the situation. It really depends on the industry. It really depends on the customer class. So let me get down to very, very basics. I just thought, I would keep talking about what I'm doing right now. I know this sounds like more of a school class or something, but the problem is that I've noticed there are a lot of words that are being thrown around in terms of digital marketing, etc., etc. And very often we get confused with the intersection between the marketing aspect and the actual execution of the same, and the analysis and the supply part, etc., which typically falls into the CRM part of it. So I thought, let me just spell it out a little bit. Here is what we've seen today. Now, if you look at it right now, what we spoke in the earlier session has been the various medium by which we approach the customer. Right? We do it in a personalized manner, etc. But what's even more essential is, if you were to look at typical class of customers on a very, very generic level, you have a whole bunch of customers who've been with you, even if you're an existing organization, who are loyal to you, irrespective of whether you promote it or you don't promote it. All they look out for is some additional information. That selling aspect is not really too much of an ongoing aspect. Then there are a bunch of customers who are associated with you, and there are a bunch of customers whom you're trying to acquire, attract, and grow your customer base as such. So for each of these constituencies, it really makes a huge difference. And what it boils down to is, once you go through the first layer of how do you get the maximum number of customers at the lowest cost, the right set of customers. Next is actually, what do you do with them? How do you service them? How do you keep them happy? How do you retain them? How do you make sure that they stay with you for some time? Because the ROI is not only in the initial spend. The ROI comes when, over a sustainable period of time, you are able to keep that repeat business coming in. That is when organizations see that actual ROI coming in. You spend X amount of money on a campaign, and then you say, okay, fine, I spent 1,000 rupees and I've got around 10,000 customers, vis-a-vis option two, where I spent 2,000 rupees and I've got 20,000 500 customers. ROI for number one looks better. True, that's true. Those are options that you take in the time being. But what comes out is how much of business actually comes in from that particular customer through the customer life cycle. So now it boils down to the customer life cycle, and how do you capture it, and how do you navigate through that entire life cycle, for which what you actually need is the complete framework. You have established the customer connection, you have designed it, you managed it, which is what we spoke about in terms of digital marketing. And then you have the next layer, which is nothing to do with your customers, but it's an integral part of your entire CRM, because unless you have people who provide you what you need to the customers, you're not able to service them. The entire gamut of right from the point of touching base with the customer, which is what we typically call it, all the various touch points. When you do a customer touch point analysis as such, and you say, like, these are various aspects where you touch base with the customer, till the time you've completely have given him what he wants, you service him, and you get the right feedback, and he comes right over all the way back again. Now, that is one cycle which happens, but at the same time, there's also the other cycle wherein you capture the information about him, you find out, as there was a brief mention of analytics, etc. Typically when you go to Amazon today, you are a repeat customer. Every time you go there, you select a book, and the algorithm pops out 5 options for you. Here are 10 more books. These are algorithms which are built in. So these are all more let's say predictive in nature. That by gauging by the fact that you have come in again and again and again to the same portal, they've gathered enough information about you. Even 2 or 3 visits is enough for them to say that this is a trend that's going to happen. But is it what that you're actually looking for is the question mark again. This is where again I stopped myself and I said, look, let's get on into the depth of what the actual CRM framework is. What does it actually cover? What is the value it provides? And what the end result we find is that the CRM, if I go back to the initial definition, this is what is becoming more important. It's actually the third one. It's the complete combination of whatever you practice, whatever technologies you're using, whatever strategies you have done, in completely understanding the customer, manages expectations. I won't even say managing the expectation, surpassing his expectations, and making sure that he becomes somebody who is going to time and again add value to the organization, in terms of the ROI for you. And this entire part is also through a very complex structure of data management, which hinges upon something which is more around not only predictive, but also prescriptive analytics. I don't want to get into all of those right now, given the limited amount of time. But in short, what I'm trying to sort of convey out here is, while it looks to be a very simple, marketing approach, there is a far broader beast underneath, which captures all this information, synchronizes it, processes it, and which feeds it to the first layer. And this is how the interaction happens, which gives you the continuous cycle for at least a decently sized organization to think of a complete marketing digital marketing come CRM strategy for the matter, right? And who are the let's go back and look, who are the people who are involved in all this? Like, at the end of the day, when we speak about ROI, this has to give ROI to each and every person in that, whether it's a startup, it's a B2B, it's a B2C. You have the investors, you have the customers, you have the partners, you have the associates. For each and every person who is involved in this particular stake, there is a different sort of an ROI that comes in. So the point is that, if you're running an organization, you want to make it profitable. You have investors who also are looking for something out of it. The customers are looking to be happy. The organization is looking to make all these 4 constituencies happy. So it's a complete mix and match. And to do this, we really have to get down into a little more detail, and you really have to look at what is it that I want to do from an organization perspective. And how do I innovate? What is the outcomes I'm looking for? What is the change I need to affect? What are the technologies? So net, again, I come back to the same point. It's nothing that is done in isolation. It is completely focused on what is the business model that you're looking at. Based on the business model, you define your digital strategy to attract the customers. Is it inbound marketing? Is it outbound marketing? And how do you innovatively do it? How do you use the technology to support it? How do you actually engage with the customer? And then how do you actually maintain the relationship with the customer, which is the inherent part in the organization itself. So that, I would say, covers the entire gamut of CRM/marketing put together. It doesn't stop there, of course. It involves the servicing part of it also. Given this sort of a thing, I just thought, let me drop a few, very often, like, this sounded very, very sort of theoretical, but there is actually a very structured and scientific way of doing it. This is something which, of course, I've done it in the past with various organizations. It's more suited to, let's say, medium and bigger size organizations at this point in time, because it's pretty widely used in many companies. I'll give you just one example of this, which is for a very large organization. I think that would give you a little more of an idea as to what I'm talking about. Like, I used to, we were sort of contracted to do, in one of my erstwhile jobs, in one of my experiences, we were asked to do a customer. They called it a customer loyalty framework, and they said, look, we have this bunch of customers, and we want to make sure, we want to find the right way of marketing, making them happy, etc. A very generic statement. And this was actually an airline in a very small country, okay, actually it was Air Mauritius for Mauritius, and this airline was owned actually by the government of Mauritius itself. And The reason they picked it up is because they own 60% of the airline, and more than around 45% of the revenues was the revenue for the country itself. So they wanted to promote this as something which would become a bigger breadwinner for the country or for the government in terms of some of the revenue streams that they had. So they wanted to do a complete transformation for this. This was ages back I'm talking about. At that point in time, the word digital was not even so predominantly used. And what they were looking for is like, they said like, look, is it enough that we just satisfy our customers by giving some XYZ things, etc.? We are an airline. So when we sat down, the first thing that we did was we said, let's look at all the touch points that the customer has. Whom all does he connect with, which is remotely connected to Air Mauritius, number one. Number two, what is it that he is exactly looking for? Number three, is he getting what he is looking for? Number four, is the organization actually able to give him what he's looking for even after promising him? And is it done in a nice, is it the proper quality? Is it done the proper way? And what is it that we need to ensure that he is coming back? What would be attractive to him? Now, let me give you one answer to each. Of all the touch points, there was a very nice campaign in terms of all over the press. There was paid marketing those days. There was not so much of SEO. The grand, you had all these ads everywhere, and you're not, it's not only an airline, it's a gateway to the country, blah, blah, blah. Everything was there. Welcome to the ecosystem. Beautifully done. And guess what? What the company failed miserably is in one very small touch point, which was Air Mauritius those days did not have their own flights running out of India. They used to tie with Air India. And these flights were pretty late night flights. And imagine you walk into, you're fully charged up and I'm going on this holiday, etc., etc. And I'm sorry, I don't know, I hope nobody from the government is here, but you walk into an Air India counter at 11:30 in the night. I'm sure many of us would have experienced it, the type of reception that you get. And people tell you, look, we're really not we wouldn't, I'm sorry, let me get this up again. The type of reception that you get, which is pretty not so very pleasant most of the time, so that matter, it spoils the entire experience for the matter. So they realize that we have to fix not only the broader things but every small thing. This is very minute thing which got overlooked very easily by majority of the consultants, etc. But this is something which happened. Second thing is they went very much ahead in terms of promising so many loyalty points. You can get one free flight after so and so. And guess what? People are not really interested, because how many times do you actually go for a vacation to the same country? They had the data wrong. They had the logistics wrong. What would have helped maybe is giving them an upgrade whenever it was available, etc. That people were looking for more than, etc. So each of those areas, when we discovered it was a completely different thing that was discovered than what normally would happen. So what was necessary was that entire in-between structure, which would give you this information in designing a proper marketing as well as a CRM strategy. So that, in fact, is one of the examples, the reason why, it becomes very important that you go about it in a systematic manner. And that's the reason why, I thought, let me touch upon this subject to not only emphasize on the fact that, we are living in a world where it's very easy to be, delighted by seeing something which is very attractive, etc. But more and more, if you notice, you, me, everybody, all of us are becoming very, very conscious about, what we are looking for, what we buy. Are we just attracted by merely marketing as an end consumer? Don't we look out for, a little more deeper nowadays than what we used to do 2 years back? So trends are changing, and understanding those trends, even if we put ourselves in the shoes of those customers, we have to be very clear as to how we design our marketing as well as our CRM strategy and all. These are just a few thoughts in terms of how one would go about it. And of course, like I didn't want to leave this halfway through and make it a little more concrete in terms of, this is more in terms of sharing some information. So I thought like this is one of the very much commonly used methodologies wherein we look at what's the intersection between, what are the business areas you've identified, what's the intersection between business and technologies, what is it that are the various components that you're looking at addressing in this entire scenario in designing a CRM strategy or a marketing strategy, and what are the technologies that you want to use. See, at the end of the day, technologies are something which is, it's something which is ever changing, and it's a continuous evolutionary manner. Today there is something which helps you to do things effectively. Tomorrow it is not. There was HubSpot 6 months back, which was, you could see HubSpot all over the place. Now it's something which is like you don't hear about it. You must have seen the Pipedrive, some mention of Pipedrive somewhere. Pipedrive has got half, almost like 1/4 of the features of Salesforce, but that charm has already died off. There are various reasons to various products, of course, but finding the right technology which is going to help you long term, it might be something very simple, sustainable. But at the end of the day, just like your business outcomes, even your technology outcomes should give you the desired ROI for that. I think those are a few thoughts which I thought let me share with you in terms of from a business and technology perspective, not only with the marketing aspect, but overall the CRM aspect. And I'm still debating, like if it's a very small organization, they might not want to get into this depth of detail. It is not even necessary. It really depends on the size of the organization, the type of customers they have, what is it that they want to achieve, etc. But on a very conservative scale, I would say yes, it's equally important to look at this from a holistic point of view and not look at any component individually, because I guess a structure always gives you a better platform to think and go about in a systematic manner. I think with that, I would hand over to any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you so much, Vidya, for that wonderful presentation. And yeah, RK was like an attendee was asking earlier if you were sharing your screen for a presentation or not, but I guess there is no presentation for that matter.
No, I was actually. I'm so sorry. I was sharing my screen.
Oh, I see. But yeah, that's totally fine. It's okay. We were trying to get your attention earlier regarding the presentation, but yeah, that's totally fine. And yeah, we have our attendees, and we'd like to check if you have any questions or would you'd like to interact with our speakers. You can put it in chat, Q&A, or you can open your mic.
Yeah, and since we didn't get a chance to look at the presentation, I will share this. And any thoughts, any questions you have, please feel free to go through it. In fact, I can just very quickly take you. It's just 7 slides. Are you able to see my slides now?
No.
That's a bummer. Now?
No. Yes.
Okay. Well, this was what I spoke about in terms of the customer continuum. This is what I came about in terms of my initial thoughts. And then I started with the energy agenda, which I spoke about in terms of, how do you, just a simplified version while I was going through it. This is the part where I mentioned about, the top layer in terms of the various medium for digital marketing, and the bottom layer, which is more in terms of the intelligence engine and stuff like that. This was the entire framework I spoke about in terms of how do you manage the customer experience and customer success. And this is what I spoke in terms of the stakeholders. And this is one where I said that I started talking about how do you go about the entire transformation approach in terms of how do you keep in mind, each and every aspect of the business. And then I went down to actually looking at what is it that you need to do, where I spoke about the airline, wherein you look at what are the touch points that the customers are there, how do you come up with the entire customer loyalty sort of a framework, and how do you decide upon all those aspects. And the last one was actually translating that into a concrete plan, a very, very high level plan, or rather something which can be shared, which is more in terms of looking at the business components, the technology components. What I didn't talk about, I didn't share, was ultimately, since we were running out of time, was this is what I think is necessary for any organization, because right now you're at the lowest level. Most organizations are at the lowest level in terms of now they get into digitalization or using digital technologies or digital tools to doing what they have to do, what they have to get down to the next levels in terms of processing the information, getting down to the customer satisfaction, And slowly, in the case of B2B companies, you get down to a place wherein you actually become a partner with the customer. Like many organizations today, like IT companies, etc., are following the model wherein they no longer want to be called as service providers. They rather be called as partners. They don't want to be called vendors. They want to be called partners for them. So these are some of the thoughts. This is how one would envisage any company's, any organization's progress in terms of with respect to his customer to move up the value chain as such. I'll share this with you. I'm so sorry about that. And please do get back to me if you have any thoughts on this.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, you can check with our team for any contact information you needed from the speaker of this topic, which is Vidya. And you can also search his name on LinkedIn, and that'd be pretty visible. He responds almost instantly, so he's very responsive on LinkedIn as well. All right. So yeah, anyone from the attendees would like to ask questions? Alrighty. So I did not see any questions or any interaction from the attendees, so I guess we can wrap it up. Would you like to promote anything, Vidya?
No, I'm fine, Phil. I'm happy to just share the information. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Definitely. So those are brilliant topics that we have today, and very interrelated topics. So we thank you, speakers, for the effort, the time, the knowledge, and the experience that you have shared into this platform, who aims to give back to the community by free knowledge sharing. And the aim of the Let Us Talk It Zipinar is to create an informed community. So we wish to achieve that each and every Wednesday that we deliver the Zipiners to the community. So we also hope to for those who attended right now, and for those who are watching us live via YouTube and Facebook as well, we'd like to invite you again for the next Wednesday, since we will have two new topics and two new speakers as well to be with us. We'll talk different areas and the Let Us Talk It Zipinars. So I guess that takes care of every day today. I'm sorry, everything. And also for those who are interested for the first topic information, I'm happy to see that Rishi has sent a PDF file of what was discussed earlier, and I'll be happy to share it to anyone who'd be interested. You can contact the Let Us Talk It team for that. And for the next few minutes, there will be a startup meeting that will take place in the same Zoom meeting link. So anyone who's interested to join and listen to that pitch, feel free to stay on the link. Alrighty.
Sure.
So that wraps up everything. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today, and we hope to see you again next Wednesday. And from the Let Us Talk It team, we wish you and we hope you enjoy your holidays in the next few days. Thank you so much, everyone, and please keep safe as always.
Thank you. Thanks. Signing off now. Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah.